Well, there it goes, you guys. We are no longer undefeated. Packers lost 34-27 at home to the Philadelphia Eagles. A desperate Philadelphia Eagles that lost at home to the Detroit Lions of all teams. I called it. This was a trap game, and we fell for the trap game, and we got crushed by that incredibly big, ginormous trap called the Philadelphia Eagles, and playing on a short week, banged up. This had trap written all over it. We fell for it, and we just flat out got beat as a result of it. Now, before I get into the obvious, I'm gonna give a huge shout out and congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles for a good, hard-fought game. It was a very, very good, thoroughly entertaining game all the way. It was very entertaining for sure. The Eagles are a very good team. Okay, they were better than their record indicated. They were 1-2 based off their record, but they were a far better team than they were. And like I said, they were banged up. They were missing their number one receiver, Alshon Jeffrey, and that was a pretty big determining factor for the Eagles losing against the Lions. As I've mentioned before, their receivers dropped passes, and fortunately, those receivers who dropped the passes didn't have to play, and their starters did play. Jeffrey, Ertz, they were missing Deshaun Jackson, but wouldn't have mattered that much. Just a really flat-out tale of two different teams here from the couple weeks past. Last week, and the weeks to start, the offense was flat-out abysmal, and wasn't able to get any rhythm going. But this week, it did. The passing game worked very well. It was good. Devontae Adams, he got going, and he had such a phenomenal game. Aaron Rodgers looked like his old self. He was throwing a whole bunch of passes left and right, especially most of them going to Devontae. We also had a few nice passes to Jimmy G, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Geronimo Allison. We got some passes to Aaron Jones. But what in the heck happened to the defense? What in the world just happened to our defense? It looked like it was reverting back to its old self, and it showed. And, our pass defense looked pretty abysmal at times, but what I'm going to rip on is the freaking run defense. We still can't stop the run to save our lives. Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders ran all over and ran through our trying stupid run defense. Mike Pettin, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about this, man? Every running back in this league can run through our Swiss cheese, thinner than paper run defense. What in the world is going on here? Like, what gives? Dalvin Cook did this to us in week 2 against the Vikings. Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman ran ramshot on our defense. Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard also did the same thing. And I felt like they were going to have some good games against us, but not this good. We gave up almost 200 yards on the against the Eagles on the ground. I mean, what in the world? Uh, I knew this run defense was a concern, but good night. I didn't think it was going to be this trash. I mean, I am really absolutely 100% concerned about this run defense now, you guys. I was a little bit concerned going in to the Denver game, and then sure enough, we saw freaking Lindsey and Royce Freeman run all over it, and now I'm even more concerned. I don't think we could stop the run, you guys, and this defense is not as good as I don't think it's as good as a lot of people think it is. I mean, we're good against the pass, I'll tell you that, but against the run, oh my gosh, it's a whole lot worse than I thought it was. And I know I may be overreacting to the moment of this, but oh man, I don't think we can't stop the run worth a lick. And I think some adjustments are going to have to be made in order for this run defense to get going. I know we have missed Montravius Adams. He's been out with an injury. Maybe some of that has to do with it. Maybe some of that is not having be able to have an inside linebacker to pair with Blake. I mean, we have B.J. Goodson. We had Adrian Amos play in an inside linebacker role, but it's just apparently not. It's just not enough. I mean, it's not just our defensive line. Our outside linebackers, our edge setters are not doing well enough. I think a lot of it has to do with just not having guys in the interior. We are missing Mike Daniels, and because he was such a force against the run, albeit he was older, he was aging, he was declining, but he was a force, and he brought that nasty attitude that this defense once lacked while he was with the team. And there's only so much that Kenny Clark can do with such mediocre guys around him, like the mediocre Dean Lowry and the mediocre Tyler Lancaster, who was playing alongside him. Now, Lancaster is better than Kingsley Keke at this point, but Kingsley didn't really see much of any snaps from the last game, but we are missing those guys in the middle, and Kenny Clark is only just one man, so this is really frustrating and disappointing. But we are still a good team. We are still 3-1, and we kind of ran into a desperate Philadelphia Eagles squad who absolutely needed this game a whole lot more than we did. So, again, huge props to the Philadelphia Eagles for coming out with a phenomenal game plan. Their offense ran to perfection. Doug Peterson flat out outcoached Matt LaFleur in this game. He was able to use the run, and we couldn't run the ball at all. Aaron Jones was stuffed, and that was also a pretty big, huge difference between our offense and their offense. They could run the ball, we couldn't. They could sort of pass the ball, and we could definitely throw it on them all game long. And we needed Aaron to obviously be his old self again and really carry this squad not all by himself, because he had help on the offense. He had Marquez, he had Devontae, he had Jimmy G, Bobby Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis, even Danny Vitale, you name them. Honestly, this is just really disappointing, but I think we're going to be okay. But our run defense is not. I'm hoping that Mike Pettin and the guys are going to get together and figure out some ways to be able to stop the run, or do whatever means to go and acquire another piece to this defense in order to be able to help us stop the run. That's it. And, our guys flat out got pushed around by the Eagles' terrific offensive line, and that was a really, really big disappointment. Our defensive line is flat out getting pushed around by offensive lines, and I'm hoping that we are going to do whatever it means necessary to acquire a a really, really mean, nasty lineman that can push interior offensive linemen around, like what Mike Daniels used to do, like what Kenny Clark can do. I'm not sure if we have those guys, and if we don't take any action in doing so, we could be in for a tough year where we see everyone running through our Swiss cheese defensive line. I'm not saying that our defense is going to revert to being bad again, because we do have a pass defense, because our secondary is loaded, and I think this defense has every ability to be a very good defense. Am I going to say it's a top 5 defense? Absolutely not. Top 5 defense is stop the run. Top 10, maybe. Is it top 15 right now? Yes, absolutely. Without a doubt, it's top 15. And is it top 10 right now? I would say yes, but it's iffy. That's because we can stop the pass. We just can't stop the run. So I'm done ranting about this game and how frustrated I am, and this is just a gut reaction. And now I'm going to get to the stat line here for the game. I'll start with Aaron Rodgers, our franchise quarterback, who came alive and had one heck of a game. He threw for 34 of 53 and 422 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the interception there that was tipped right off of Marquez Valdez-Scantling and wound up into the hands of Nigel Bradham to seal the game for the Philadelphia Eagles. On the ground, Aaron carried the ball 5 times for 46 yards, and unfortunately, he was the leader in the running game. Aaron Jones, 13 carries for 21 yards and a touchdown. Again, Aaron Jones was flat out abysmal in this game, but that's not to really completely fault him, as the Philadelphia Eagles do have a very good, stout run defense. They were second in the league going into this game, and that's what I feared for this offense going into this game, was not being able to run the football. That was certainly the case, and the Eagles did whatever they needed to do to stop the run, and that in turn had to force Aaron to throwing the football, in which he did an absolutely good job of doing today. And I'm proud of Aaron for his efforts into and the efforts of this offense in general, aside from the running game in today's game. But not being able to run the ball was a huge part of why we did not win this game. And as far as the receivers go, huge shout out to Davante Adams. He was absolutely phenomenal today. 10 catches for 180 yards, and unfortunately no touchdowns. And 15 targets. Obviously, Davante was just so good today, and he just got open almost every single play that he was on the field. The corners had almost no answer for him, and that was probably the big reason why we were able to be in this game, is because of Aaron and his connection to Davante. Also, shout out to Jimmy Graham for a pretty good game here. 6 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. Unfortunately, he did have a pretty big drop that result in the end zone that would have resulted in a game-tying touchdown. But in his defense, it was not an easy catch. It was a little bit over his head. But Jimmy does need to come down with those, and when you are called upon to make a catch in the end zone, you must catch it. So Jimmy was pretty decent in this game, but he needed to come down with that catch. When you're called upon, you got to catch it. Simple as that. Geronimo Allison, 3 catches for 52, and the touchdown. Pretty decent game from Geronimo, even though he is still probably not quite to be trusted as our number 2 wideout. And that also leads me to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who got 3 catches for 47 yards and would have caught the touchdown pass to tie the game if it hadn't been tipped. And Aaron Jones got 6 catches for 37, and you can read the rest right there. I just wanted to highlight that, and that was it for the stats for the offense, aside from the Aaron Rodgers fumble, and that was a sack fumble by Brandon Graham, I believe. For the defense here, obviously you can see right here that there were absolutely no sacks in this game, no turnovers at all, and this is like the complete polar opposite of what this defense was from a week ago, was sacking the quarterback and creating turnovers. This was certainly not the case against the Philadelphia Eagles, and I would like to give props to the Philadelphia Eagles offensive tackles Jason Peters and Lane Johnson for doing a phenomenal job of handling the Smith brothers, as they were complete non-factors in this game. They were not able to create consistent pressure. Go get Carson Wentz. The blocking was phenomenal for him. He had time to throw. He had clean pockets, and it was just a really abysmal performance by the defense. And honestly, I think injuries were kind of partly to play in this. A lot of this team on the defense was banged up. I mean, so were the Eagles. But no excuse. Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, they didn't come through. They weren't able to do much of anything. Just not a very good day for us on the defense on the defensive side of the ball. And next, I want to get to the biggest part of what turned the tide in the game. We were up 10-0. Looked pretty comfortable. 10-0. Mason Crosby kicks the ball to freaking Miles Sanders. Just kick it out of the end zone, Mason. Just kick it out. Don't let him return it. And you know what happens? Miles Sanders takes it almost all the way to the house. And that's what turned it for us, is when Miles Sanders was able to give his team a short field for the Philadelphia Eagles to score a touchdown. And that was when the momentum shifted. And then Mason Crosby kicks the ball, and it goes out of bounds. That started the Philadelphia Eagles at the 40-yard line, and another short field, only 40 more yards to go down and score another touchdown. And the defense, as trash as it is against the run, wasn't able to stop any of the running backs at all. And that made it a whole lot easier for Wentz to be able to complete some throws to his favorite target, Zach Ertz, and as well as a few passes to his number one wideout, Alshon Jeffrey. And that was why the Philadelphia Eagles were able to score and move the ball on this defense with such ease. Mason Crosby. I'm not going to point fingers and say that you're part of you're part of the problem, but not the problem. Hopefully, this will be a lesson for him to just kick the ball out of the end zone and not let anyone return the ball. Because you know what? This special teams unit will never get good. It'll never get good. Simple as that. Special teams is not our MO. You know what our MO is? Offense. It always has been offense. It has been offense since the days going back to the days of Mike Holmgren and Brett Favre. Special teams was never really quite the MO, except for maybe, if you want to count Desmond Howard at his time as the kick returner and punt returner, who was phenomenal, and I guess maybe that was when our special teams unit was special. But after that, our special teams unit... So, there you have it. That's just like the whole dealio. And as for game balls are going to go, I'm going to give the game balls to primarily offensive guys right here. The first game ball I'm going to give to Devontae Adams. The second one goes to number 12, AR-12, our fearless leader, and the man that really had to really carry this squad Aaron Rodgers. And the third and final game ball is going to go to Jimmy Graham for gutting it out, playing on two separate injuries. One of them, I think, was on a broken finger and a quad injury. He was able to get open, get a couple of crucial catches, some in the clutch, and he caught that one touchdown pass. So that is it for this video. Those are my game balls, and I'll catch you guys later for another video, and go Pack Go!